Hello, welcome to this Fort Wayne Fire Department short. In this short, we're going to cover COPD, which stands for Chronic Obstructive Pulmonary Disorder. What is COPD? COPD is similar to asthma and bronchitis in a regard where we have bronchial constriction. What is our bronchus? Well, I have a crude depiction of our lungs here, and as we descend down our trachea into our right and left lobes of the lungs, we have this branching network of pulmonary tissue that descends into our alveolar bases. That branching network is called our bronchus. In COPD, that bronchus becomes constricted, meaning restricted. That space becomes tighter and less expansive than it normally is, or the way it's supposed to be. And as a result, it is more difficult for air to move in and out. A result of that, when you're auscultating lung sounds, you will hear a wheezing sound, a harsh wheezing sound. So when I'm listening to my uppers and my lowers here, I'm going to hear wheezing. What else is going on with COPD? Well, as we descend down that trachea, down the right and left branches and into our bronchus, all the way down to our alveolar bases, which is depicted right here, this is very sensitive tissue, and so when we are inhaling things that are toxic or hazardous to us, the number one cause being cigarette smoke, but it doesn't have to be necessarily cigarette smoke. It could be any gas that is hazardous to us and we're not protected. When it comes into contact with that alveolar space, that's not good. It's not meant to be exposed to those things, and it doesn't have the protective endothelial linings that the skin on the outside of our body necessarily has, or at least not to the extent that it has. And so as a result of that, it becomes injured, and there's that injury means that in that space where gas exchange is supposed to take place, so I have these kind of light airy bubbles where there's capillaries and arterioles, and what's going on here is gas exchange. I have ambient air with oxygen, and I have blood with carbon dioxide that needs to be offloaded. Hemoglobin is ready to offload that and accept more oxygen, but it can't, because these sacs which are meant to inflate and be very flexible, they're restricted in their nature because they cannot move. That tissue is damaged and it becomes less pliable and it loses what's called surfactant. When we completely lose surfactant, we have what's called atelectasis, and that is the complete collapse of areas of our lungs, and that is no good. So we have bronchial constriction. We also have the loss of surfactant in our alveolar space, which makes them less pliable and less flexible. As a result of those things, we have air that is just sitting there, chilling in our lungs, that cannot be expelled. And because of that, that impedes gas exchange in our alveolar space. It takes up precious real estate so that carbon dioxide, or at least less carbon dioxide, can get offloaded and more oxygen can be accepted. Well, what does that mean? That means that these individuals are most likely in a hypercapnic state. They have a high CO2. So what are we going to do for these people? DuoNeb treatments, albuterol and Atrovent, supplemental oxygen, and CPAP. And we might want to explore some steroids and maybe potentially epinephrine or magnesium. It really depends on the patient and what's going on, but that's COPD. Hopefully that was helpful.